Well, welcome. This is the Know Your Numbers podcast, the Better Books broadcast, looking to increase the finance and accounting knowledge of the general public. Today, I have with me a very special guest in the name of Carlyle Tiller. Carlyle is very near and dear to my heart because he's had a similar go where he was with some of the big firms out there in the financial industry and decided to take a leap of faith and go off on his own. So excited to bring this to you. Excited to have Carlyle and learn a little bit more from him. So thank you, Carlyle. Welcome to the show.
Of course. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. Yeah, so I touched upon it a little bit. I know you have a background in the financial industry, I believe, Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, maybe. I don't know if you have some insight into that, how that's give the people a little bit of more information on your background and where you've been, what made you decide to reach out and go for more, and where you are now.
Yeah, so I always thought I'd be a financial advisor. I love finance and study it in school. But as I got there, it just wasn't for me. It's very sales oriented, and I think as I spent more and more time there, I realized I was helping these giant mega banks get richer.
Mm-hmm.
While they're just trying to keep me at, wanted to do something where I could create something that would last longer than myself.
Right.
And creating a legacy and working to create something instead of just punching in and leaving at 5 o'clock. It's that life isn't for me. And I quickly fell in love with starting my own business. It's hard, it's rough, it has its ups and downs for sure, but it's definitely been a joy for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you say this legacy, do you have kids or a family, or are you just planning for the future in that respect?
Just planning for the future.
Yeah.
I'm married but no kids.
Okay.
Maybe soon, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see
I
what
like that.
happens.
I asked because it's, I mean, that's the same with me, but I don't have anything going on. So it's interesting to see another person in a similar boat. So that's good. Well, man, I do want to talk a little bit about the real estate industry, how you got started. I know you were looking for more, but with that financial background, you're dealing a lot with the stock market and those sort of investments. What brought you to real estate? Where do you see the value in real estate? And what are some of the key tips and tricks that you use to make sure that you're a sustainable practice?
What brought me to real estate was, I have kind of a top-down approach where I look at the market as a whole and figure out what assets I like the most. And being in Florida, I definitely noticed that when I first got into real estate, that this was a growing market and there's a lot of opportunity for development and redevelopment, especially. The similarities between the stock market and real estate, there's tons. I just like real estate because you get to actually create the difference. You have a little more control. Where if you buy stock in McDonald's, you're just hoping they sell more cheeseburgers, right? But there's nothing you can do that really makes a difference unless you're own a large percentage of the company and you have some say. But most guys like us, there's nothing we can really do.
Right.
With especially real estate development, we can find a piece of land that is either marketed incorrectly or maybe we see something that other people don't, that we can create something beautiful and last a long time. And we control the whole process.
Right.
It's especially in some areas down here, it's not just land that we look for, it's stuff that's not the highest and best use. And we can take that and put the highest and best use on there and turn profit, and it's a much shorter time period than just holding on to a stock and hoping it goes up.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. And so when you're looking at these land opportunities, how do you go about ensuring that the cost of developing it is still a worthwhile investment? You're still going to be generating a profit. I know obviously you're probably in charge of the pricing at the end of it, if I'm not right or not wrong, but is it a relationships thing? Is it you guys going in there and doing it, or how does that work?
It's part relationships, it's part working with contractors and subcontractors that you've worked with in the past.
Yeah.
You know, we're a GC as well, so we've done, you know, combined, I would say 43 million square feet of real estate projects. So
Wow.
we know what the costs are ahead of time.
Yep.
You know, roughly what they are. And then we'll add another 20% on top of that just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in our world, you know, in private equity, we can't go to investors and say this is the cost. And
Right.
halfway through say, sorry, we ran out of money. Can you give me some more?
Yeah.
That's a not fun conversation. So we try to be extra conservative with our underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not making a good profit when we're extra conservative, then we're not going to do it. You know, we
Right.
don't need to reach on projects because there's so many opportunities out there that it doesn't make sense to try and force something that's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, long story short, it's working with consistent subcontractors that aren't trying to pull a fast one on you because
Yep.
they tend to do that.
Right. Yeah. Have you had any experience with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually renovating my house right now, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's amazing what people try to come up
Yeah.
with, and
Wow.
you know, say, oh man, you know, can you pay me early? You know, I haven't finished
Mhm.
yet, but I'm almost done. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We have a contract. This is how it works. Like, you know, you know, usually our GC works with guys like that, but I'm like, you know, how is this even a thought to you? How,
Mm-hmm.
like, so I'm talking to this guy, and my wife comes in, and she's like, yeah, you're too mean to talk to these guys. I have to do this myself.
Wow.
These guys are gonna walk off if you talk to them.
Damn, good for your wife. I mean, I feel like I'd be on the opposite end of that, where I might need somebody come in. I might need Carlyle to come in and shape them up a little bit.
They're just gonna leave forever, and then we're gonna have this torn apart house.
Yeah. That's good. Um, I want to double click on the underwriting aspect a little bit. It's not really something that I'm too familiar with, but it seems to be one of the most important things in real estate, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you have any insight into when you were first getting started, how you went about the underwriting process, what you knew and what you learned along the way, and how it's changed, if at all, since then.
Well, you know, we use financial models, and it's basically just one big formula, and you just need the inputs.
Mm-hmm.
How much is the land cost? How much is the cost of construction?
Yep.
And then, you know, really how much are you going to sell it for?
Okay.
So that's the hard part, is getting those pieces and getting them quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we have a real estate brokerage, and they can get comps for us quickly. You know, we have our general contractor comes back and can get a quick estimate on how much something is going to cost to build, and then obviously we have the land cost, and you know, we can back into it and figure out if it's a good project or not. So once you
Yep.
set up the system, it's a really quick and easy, you know, process. You just need
Right.
to get those inputs. That's the hard
Yeah.
part. You know, it's but setting that up, I guess, is the hard part. Finding
Mm-hmm.
analysts to build those models for you.
Yeah.
That's saves me so much time, because I just go on the computer and take a break from playing solitaire to type it in, and it's, you know, it's a lifesaver. And
Yeah.
you know, especially in real estate, that quickly, because stuff goes off the market,
Right.
you know, within a day or two. So we have to make a decision very fast.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, fine tuning. You know, once we get an idea of if it's going to be a good project or not, then we fine tune those numbers to figure out, get closer and closer and work with a site plan and figure out, exactly what it's going to cost for landscaping, and then,
Mhm.
paving roads and utilities and all the little things that go into it. But yeah, it makes sense for us to just get a quick number out there to figure out, is this a yes, or is this worth looking into further?
Yep, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where my confusion was. I hear this underwriting concept, and then I ask you, and I realize that it's just the analysis part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just figuring out, just getting those inputs for that specific area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
It's, once you've done it a few times,
yeah,
it's ride a bike.
yep. That's awesome, man. And are there any, so what's your quote unquote niche per se? I know you're in the commercial uh atmosphere. Do you have a certain price point? Do you have a certain return that you're looking for? Is there a certain margin that you require?
It's not necessarily a price point. It's more of it's more of a margin.
Hmm.
We're not going to underwrite anything that has under a 20% IRR.
Okay.
Uh, Obviously, there's more risk in real estate development compared
Hmm.
to just buying a multifamily property and collecting rent.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that can go right or wrong.
Right.
So that's why we, put a big contingency in there just in case. And, so we don't run out of money and there's no
Mhm.
hurricane that messes us up or puts
Yeah.
us off track or anything. There's a lot of things that can happen. But generally the returns are a little greater as well, to make up for that risk. So, we like to look at the best risk to return options.
Hmm. Gotcha.
And part of that is the city that we're working in.
Hmm.
Some cities are harder to work with than others. Some of that is the time frame. We're not going to underwrite anything that's like an 8-year hold time. It's more of a 2 or 3 year
Yep.
period.
Okay.
So it's, there's a lot that can happen in 8 years. Who knows what the
Yeah.
market's gonna be like in 8 years? You have no
Right.
idea. But I confident that it'll be stable for the next 2 or 3 years.
Hmm.
So that makes it a lot easier for us. We want projects where we can get in and out, return capital quickly, and return significant, profits back.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm sure that that works quite well. I know profit is the main determinant of whether a business survives or not. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It keeps
How
our
has
investors
the,
happy.
what was that? Sorry.
It keeps our investors happy as well.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. How has the market recently affected your business model, especially in the commercial industry when and the development industry when you're relying on some of those materials that have been quite hard to come by, maybe gone up in cost, and how do you manage the return there and still grow?
Yeah, prices have stabilized a lot lately.
Okay.
Let's see what happens with all these variants. I can't even keep up with them.
Right.
But
Right.
every time, Canada's lumber mills stop, we don't stop construction. So
Hmm.
there's a imbalance in the supply and demand, which obviously
Yeah.
makes prices go up. So hopefully those guys stay open.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not something we can really predict.
Right.
The surge in prices was unexpected, to say the
Hmm.
least.
Yeah.
But prices in real estate have gone up
Right.
significantly over here, and not
Hmm.
just residential and commercial as well.
Yep.
We're looking for large office space right now, and you'd think there'd be plenty, but we can't find anything.
Wow.
Down here in South Florida, it's packed.
Yeah.
It's full. We're seeing stuff, residential stuff go off the market in a day. I had a buddy that listed a property that he had an open house over the weekend. I think he had 40 offers, and the cops came because of a noise violation. So it's not slowing down.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
crazy.
Wow.
But there's, because there's just so many people moving down here. So that's some of the stuff I look at is trends in population migration,
Hmm.
as well as job growth and wealth creation. Where is the wealth and the people moving to? Because that's the biggest driving factor in real estate.
Yep, I gotcha. And are you in Florida only, or do you guys develop all around the Southeast?
We focus just on Florida.
Yep.
There's so much development over here and
Yeah.
opportunity, and it doesn't make sense for us to spend time traveling back and forth. It's that can be kind of cumbersome. So we like to stick to our backyard here.
Yeah. No,
Plus, it's such
good.
a great market already.
Yeah, exactly. And it served you well so far. So
Yeah.
that's good. A couple more questions, and again, Carla, I appreciate your time and thank you for all the insight.
Of course.
I am learning a lot, and I've learned that this is best for me as much as it is for the listener. So I do appreciate that.
Of course, happy to do it.
Thank you. And one thing I realized that you were big on, and obviously as a CPA, I'm aware of these, and I'm also growing in my knowledge of it, is the tax advantage of real estate, but also maybe even more so the commercial industry. I don't know if you have any insight onto that, a little or a lot of insight. I'd just like to hear your opinion on some of the tax advantages and why it's better over some of the other investment opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, I'll admit, you're probably much better at this than I would be. I try not to get into too much tax stuff, but
Yeah,
a lot of the main benefits from real estate come from holding. Especially if you're doing renovations or new construction and you're holding on to that, the cost segregation studies you can do, where you can do accelerated depreciation on some parts of the real estate that aren't going to last, like light fixtures or, some, parts that aren't, I guess the definition would be parts that you can remove from the building that aren't attached to it, but depreciate faster than the actual building. So instead of depreciating that over 30 years, you're depreciating those things over 5 years.
Right.
That's a huge tax savings right there.
Wow.
That's the main one. Yeah, then just the depreciation on the building obviously is a huge benefit as well. Where you're not paying tax on that piece that's depreciating.
Yep.
That's the main piece that I look for. I think that's a huge understated benefit, and a lot of people don't do that on, if they're renting out one property or a single family property because it's kind of expensive, but it's a benefit of holding a lot of real estate or being a fund of properties because it has a better cost advantage to it because there's so many pieces to underwrite. Yeah.
No, and I agree. And that's kind of something that I didn't even think of because, you know of the depreciation of a building and that's an advantage, but you also know of the depreciation of furniture, but you don't think that you can put the furniture in the building and get that twofold kind of thing. So that's good, man. I like that.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit for sure.
Yeah.
Saves you a lot of money.
Appreciate that. And a couple last minute tidbits, one and then some ending questions that I like to finish up with. But one thing that I noted from a previous podcast you did was this idea of being risk averse and the benefit of real estate for somebody who might be risk averse. I don't know. I think the question that I have is some of the things that you look for to mitigate risk, because obviously anytime you're dealing with somebody else's money, it is a risk. Anytime you're dealing with an investment, it's a risk. But I think real estate in particular has some benefits to mitigating that, and you might have a little more insight into that than I do. So
yeah, it's when you're investing with other people's money, you don't want to lose it, right? That's their money, and that's not something they want to play around with. Right. So you want to figure out what's the best risk to reward situation for them. And that's why we look at stuff that's not as speculative as we might do on our own.
Yep.
with our own money. But it's a little safer and a little more, it's a little easier to sell. We'll look for a community to build in a downtown area or
Mhm.
surrounded by residential housing already, and not somewhere in the middle of Florida.
Okay. Yeah.
We're not converting farmland in Central Florida to residential housing.
Yep.
It's more of looking downtown areas to build 100 townhomes, where there's already population.
Hmm.
So we know that will sell quicker and sell for a premium compared to holding on to something for a larger amount of time and a larger profit margin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the
Right.
big thing is the risk, but my big thing is what's underappreciated in that risk is the time.
Hmm.
And if it takes you a year to sell something, then that's a huge risk. I mean, you
Right.
might not even sell it.
Yeah.
And now your
Yeah.
investors are sitting there wondering, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So, the project we're looking at, we're working on right now, 67 townhomes in downtown Stewart.
Mhm.
When we looked at that project, we looked at another developer built 75 townhomes across the street,
Mhm.
and they all pre-sold before construction even finished.
Wow.
So people bought, the idea of the house before it was even
Yep.
there.
Right.
So that takes some of your concerns away because
Yep.
that there's a demand for stuff already.
Right.
Right. So that's some of the stuff that we look for.
Hmm. Sounds like common sense to me.
You would think, but most
Yeah.
people don't have it.
Wow. I
Luckily
love
for
it.
me.
That's great, Carlyle. Well, thank you again. A couple last minute questions that I like to close with. One is a question for you personally, and that's what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't involved in real estate? Where would you be financially, personally, business?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Um, I guess still working in the stock market as some kind of advisor on my own.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a tough question.
Mm.
'Cause I've always loved the market, and I still love looking at it. I just don't have the time that I used to play around in it.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, but just the fast pace and you know, all the intricacies of it. I really love that. So, probably working as an advisor on my own somehow.
Hmm. Gotcha. Are you involved in crypto at all?
No, I'm not.
No. All
No,
right.
I'm not. You know, every time I say I don't get it, it doesn't make sense, and it's going to go to zero, it keeps going up.
Right.
So I'm not even gonna say it anymore because every time I say it, I just look dumb.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, it's a way to make money. It's just not a way for me to make money.
Amen.
Not for me. I
Yeah.
like buying things that I can hold that make me money. Buying a business that generates income,
Yep.
not a digital token. I don't.
Yeah. Right. Something
Doesn't
you
do much for me.
understand too, and it's not
Yeah,
on
exactly.
the
If I can't
public
explain it,
side.
then I don't. It's not for me.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's good. And then lastly, what is one personal finance suggestion, piece of advice you have for anybody who might be, uh, for lack of a better word, broke or looking to looking to increase their wealth, but just starting out and not a lot of capital to work with?
I feel like the term broke is so relative.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
there's people that make a lot of money but are still broke. There's
Mm.
people that make very little money and feel very comfortable.
Yep.
So if you feel broke, then you should look through your bank statement, your credit card statement, and just circle the things that you don't need.
Right.
There's probably plenty of subscriptions and just crap that you have no need for.
Hmm.
Going out to eat twice a week and spending $100, or going
Yep.
out for drinks and spending $200.
Uh,
If you cut that stuff out and you put that towards an IRA, or if you put that into something else,
mhm.
just automatically save that, or put a portion of your paycheck into your savings account or IRA
Yeah.
or whatever. If you start that early enough, then you'll have no problem retiring.
Yeah.
Right? You'll have no problem investing.
Hmm.
It's just, it's, are you willing to sacrifice those nights out and those, dinners twice a week and eating
Yep.
in compared to bagging groceries at Publix when you're 80 years old?
Right. Yeah.
That's the reality. So, I bring a jar of peanut butter and I have jelly in the fridge and bread here, and I make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch.
Wow.
Sometimes I bring turkey if I'm feeling crazy.
Yeah.
But usually peanut butter and jelly for lunch every day. Everyone makes fun of me as the CIO. I sit at my desk and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's just part of my ways, and I don't care
Yeah.
how much money I make. That's just what I do.
Wow. Wow. I honor that. I love that. That's awesome, man. That's good. So anybody out there struggling to get by, PB&J's will get you into a C-suite executive office. That's awesome. Well, Carlyle, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you. And you have a lot of great insight and wisdom into the real estate world. So I'll be in
Thank
touch.
you.
I'll let you know when we release it. But is there any way somebody can get in touch with you, help you out, or serve you in any way?
Yeah, just send me an email. Carlyle at Johnston Group Inc. That's CARLYLE at JOHNSTON Group Inc.com.
Gotcha. And is there anyone you look for as a specific investor type, or anything like that? I mean, most of our listeners are probably beginners, so maybe they'll be reaching out to you for some insight, but is there a niche you're looking for?
There's really no ideal person.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of CEOs, doctors, lawyers, just people that are too busy to do this on their own.
Yep.
And or don't have the expertise or knowledge or time to get it done.
Right.
I tell people, if you're a surgeon, why are you wasting time doing this? Because I guarantee I can do it cheaper and better than you.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had some people say, well, I don't have any experience in real estate. I don't know if I'd be a good customer for you. I said, no, that's great. That's perfect. Just you don't need to do anything. I'm doing all the work. It's like as a lawyer, you don't want another lawyer as a client because they're always telling you what to do.
Yep. Right.
Just, let me do it. You don't need to do anything. It's hands off. That's the whole benefit of it.
Amen. That's awesome, man. Well, I'll be sure to share your information. I do know of a couple lawyers who could probably use your help. So we'll be in touch on that end. But thank you again, Carlyle. You have a good rest of the day, and I will talk to you soon.
Chris, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.